Happy April. So I don't know about you, but I am tired of the pollen. Hopefully we are about finished with it. But let's get into the April market update. So we're going to start out with slide 3, mortgage rates. So mortgage rates are sitting at about 3.18%, which is still very good. Actually, at the first of the year, we were down at the 2.7% rate, but shoot, things are still really good. I have never seen this slide be mostly red. If it weren't for Hawaii and New York, it would be all red. But housing inventory is severely low. So we're going to get into that a bit more. I think this is a very interesting slide. So from the 70s, this is kind of what new construction's been doing. In 2001, 2, 3, 4, or 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were putting up houses like crazy. At that same time, prices were going up, which, everybody was making money at that time. And then our house of cards fell apart and the market crashed, and we'll talk about that in a second. So, but since then, we've had 13 straight years of below average inventory coming to market. And part of it was because of the mortgage crisis, and lenders were not loaning money for new construction because they were still getting their feet under them based on what had happened back in 8, 9, 10. So it was a challenging time and has continued to be challenging. I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime. So let's talk about cash out refinances. So folks are, staying home more because of the pandemic. So obviously they are investing in their homes. We put in a pool. So don't know what you might have done to your house, but a lot of folks are refinancing, and that's been really popular. Plus the interest rates are so low. So is this like it was back then? And the answer is no. So back then we had $321 billion in refinances. Last year we had $153 billion in refinances. So let's drive that home a little bit more with back then we had 4.6 trillion in equity that we could tap into. Last year, we had 7.3 trillion we could tap into. However, we only tapped into 33% of that, whereas back in 2006, owners were tapping into 89% of that. So that was a 7% back then to 2% now. So folks have learned a lot. And actually, if you drill on down a little bit more in that, they're not going on big vacations, obviously, but they're investing in their homes. They're paying off debt. If we looked, we could see that the average FICO score has gone up because folks have been working on things like that. So again, is this like the last time with the housing market? So the answer is no. Back then, 2, 3, 4, 5, there was an average 10.3% appreciation, where in 17 through 20, only 6.3% appreciation. So it's good to put things in perspective. And then I really like this slide. So back then, the lenders were letting us do all kinds of things, and they had crazy products and predatory lending and fraud. It was just a wild west. So when the market crashed in 2008, 9, 10, everything that we went through, they tightened up on lending standards. And that's where we are today. So the products are not there anymore, thank goodness. And I think as a whole, the United States has kind of learned their lesson. So they're more cautious. So months inventory. So back then, inventory was on the rise, but so were prices. Now, inventory is on the decline, but prices are still continuing to rise. Again, the whole supply and demand. Back then, it was supply, I guess you would say, which doesn't make sense. Slide 22. I just like the colors on this. But year over year, change in equity. So if you're green, you've had more than 30,000 in equity gains in your property. Obviously, South Carolina is blue. We've had 18,000 average gain in equity. So as the United States goes, we've got an average 26,300 year over year gain in equity. Just interesting information. So, okay, let's go to slide 43. I hope y'all find this interesting. I do, but I'm supposed to find it interesting because it's my job. Okay, so we get calls all the time from folks asking about pre-foreclosures, and unfortunately we have to educate them that pre-foreclosures are a long way from foreclosure. And as a matter of fact, the banks are really trying to work things out when a person has an issue and can't make their mortgage payment. And even with all the COVID stuff and folks not being able to make their payment, they are really trying to work with these borrowers so they don't end up being a foreclosure. Now, we still have some, but they are less than 1% of our market right now. And that goes back to my love-hate relationship with Zillow. And their estimates sometimes are a little bit off, but they make the phone ring, and buyers love Zillow. I mean, they've got a nice, slick website, that's for sure. So this is interesting, just year over year price changes. So the price change obviously was very low right in here. This is the pandemic, so the first part to summertime of last year. So that's what was going on here. But since then, you know, that pent-up demand has caused prices to rise. So things have gone gangbusters. This is the same thing, just drilled down. So again, pandemic, we're all stuck at home. And then buyers get out there and start closing. And, you know, they've been going as fast as they can ever since. And then coming back out a little bit, we've had 10.4% currently change in prices, where forecast was only 3.2%. So then the last slide I want to show you is housing inventory. Alabama, North Dakota, and Vermont are stable. So, but everywhere else in the country, seller traffic, meaning folks don't want to sell their homes because they're afraid they will be homeless. So if you are one of those, reach out to us. We have many creative ways that we can help mitigate those things. Buyers these days are more open to letting you stay after closing. I mean, there's all kinds of things we can do to make sure you don't end up homeless. So if you're thinking of selling, if you need to sell, if your house is too big, if your house is too small, reach out to us and let us have a conversation. Just don't be afraid. Let's take advantage of the market that we have, because, you know, you don't know. You can't wait around forever. So, you know, let's get the ball rolling, and doesn't hurt to ask questions. That's what we're here for. Use us as a resource. And, make sure you connect with us. We try to be everywhere from YouTube to LinkedIn to Facebook, Twitter. I think we've even got a Pinterest page. Anyway, I hope you have a great April and get out and enjoy the sun. Hopefully all the rain is finished and hopefully the pollen is over with too. Thanks so much. Bye.